Hello, my name is Crystal Power, and this is my Child Exploitation Prevention PowerPoint. Commercial exploitation has become an increasing danger to children as the role of technology and internet has grown. Technology has allowed for easier access for offenders to make, spread, and receive child pornography through websites, chat rooms, and other internet service providers. Because child pornography is spread at a faster rate over the internet, it can be harder for law enforcement to investigate these crimes and identify the offenders and the victims who are in the photos and spreading those photos. On this page I have two types of child exploitation. So this is child pornography, which is when the offender is taking illegal pictures of and spreading the child, the victim. One test to determine whether material is considered obscene and unconstitutional is the Miller test, and the Miller test is a three-part test that determines whether material is obscene through if it appeals to the prurient interests, if it is viewed in a patently offensive way, and whether the material lacks sufficient force or the First Amendment protection, which is the lapse test, which asks if material has any literary, artistic, political, or scientific value, and the Supreme Court has decided that child pornography does not have any of those and is therefore unconstitutional and illegal for people to do. And then self-produced child pornography has increased with the increase in technology, and it is basically the sexting of one's pictures to their friends or to another partner, girlfriend, or boyfriend, and that has become questionable by law enforcement because it is a form of child pornography, but there are some different ways that law enforcement is going about those and whether they're seeing it as like a serious crime or not. Two other child exploitation types are juvenile prostitution. Many juveniles choose to do this mainly for survival needs. So basically exchanging sex for money or drugs, food, shelter. And these are more so kids who aren't really criminals but are just disadvantaged and troubles and in need of help, and there's no one else they can really go to, so they go into prostitution. And then human trafficking, this is different from all the others. Well, I wouldn't say that, but human trafficking is forced against their will because they're forced to do it and they're not able to leave. And the same thing can happen with child pornography and sexting and juvenile prostitution as well. As it can be involuntary whenever the photos are spread without the person's permission. Risk factors and vulnerability factors, these are for victims. So risk factors for potential victims using dating apps are that they're younger, they're living with other children, or they have a disability. Some potential victims, same thing, they're white, they're young, some of them are homeless, and then having a history of abuse, whether they were actually part of the abuse or they watched it happen to somebody else, such as in the family. And then risk factors for victims of juvenile prostitution, many of them are runaway kids. They have history of domestic violence, whether again it's to them or if they were watching it in their family, and then those involved in the criminal justice system. Risk factors and vulnerability factors for child pornography offenders is that they have previous sex crime convictions, they are younger in age, they are white, most of them are white, and they have greater psychological or mental health issues. And the other thing is that they are also highly educated, more educated than non-cyber sex offenders, just because technology can be so complicated and you need like more educated people to engage in that kind of crime. Online grooming and technology issues. Grooming tends to engage over a long period of time. It doesn't happen in a single day or a minute or an hour. It's going to be several months, and it can be even, or several weeks, months, or even several years to happen. Some grooming behaviors include deception. So the offenders can be like lying to the victim, tell them that they're similar, they grew up similar, kind of lie to them about their identity, their age. They can be giving gifts or money, candy, whatever it is to get the victim's compliance. They can form relationships, loving relationships, partners, and the victim not know. And then, of course, there's sexualizing the target or the victim. And then there's using aggression when the victim doesn't want to comply. Other issues with technology are that many of these grooming behaviors start off with networks that are peer-to-peer. They require subscriptions to the websites. They are encrypted sites. They're secret game chat rooms, and that causes greater vulnerability to the victims and more secrecy for the offenders, where law enforcement can't detect it at first, unless it's in child abuse cases or other cases where they actively are looking for something and then they come upon it. And as technology increases, law enforcement authorities are reaching their limits on how they can investigate such crimes because of a lack of resources, lack of funding, officers not knowing how to investigate internet crimes, and it causes some obstacles to investigating such crimes. Prevention strategies. So these are some legal implementations that have helped to prevent child sexual exploitation. So the Sexual Exploitation of Children Act of 1978 was the first law to prohibit child pornography, stating the definition of pornography and providing behaviors that would constitute such behavior. The Child Pornography Prevention Act of 1996 has set the tone for virtual images of children, saying that virtual images are unconstitutional and illegal. And the Protect Act of 2003 differs from the Protect Act of Our Children, which the Protect Act of 2003 states that the distribution of material that causes one to think the material is pornography is illegal, and the Protect Act in 2008 allows law enforcement to expand on their investigation tools into child sexual exploitation crimes. And then some more prevention. So some prevention strategies for families and communities, education through online safety programs, how to teach kids what safety is on the internet, having a clear definition of what constitutes child exploitation, how to report child exploitation, because many people don't know how to report it in fear that their kids or someone that they know is going to get in trouble. And then, of course, how the criminal justice will respond to those crimes. Response and reporting procedures. Many states are still determining whether sexting is going to be like a serious crime or not as serious, but it is still pornography. And then the Child Welfare Information Gateway gives 2 resources for reporting abuse. One is a Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline, and the other one is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Resources and support services. There are many child advocacy centers, victims' rights and restitution acts, services for shelter and housing for juveniles and those who are in abuse situations. There's counseling services, medical services, to say the least. And then for victims who are not United States citizens, the Department of Homeland Security has provided T visas to victims to help them stay into the country while their crimes are being investigated and prosecuted. And then these are my references.